Ford v Ferrari was directed by James Mangold, who is most known for his critically acclaimed work on films like Walk the Line, 310 to Yuma, and most recently Logan. And the story begins in 1966 when the Ford Motor Company was suffering from some major financial setbacks. They needed something to rejuvenate their image. Therefore, they turned to the 24 Hours of Le Mans, one of the most prestigious endurance races in the world, and decided to take on Ferrari with their own brand of engineering prowess. Famed automotive designer and former Le Mans winner Carroll Shelby and underdog Ken Miles are then recruited to help head up the project. Now, a filmmaker typically has two choices when making a period piece. The first is that they can simply go through the motions uncovering history, and then likely make something boring. But the other is a movie like Ford v Ferrari, in which filmmakers took a true life story and made it fun. I can't vouch for how accurately this movie reflects historical events, but it manages to be both entertainment and a chronicle of a proud moment from the Ford Motor Company's history. Before going on though, I should say that the movie's not really concerned with character development whatsoever. In a fashion typical of sports movies, the script focuses its attention much more on the lengths that Shelby, Ken Miles, and the rest of the Ford GT40 team went through to succeed. It becomes a movie about the journey, and not really those who journeyed. And to that point, the most fleshed out character in the movie is honestly the car itself. Seeing this machine grow and be brought to near perfection is more compelling than you might think, but the point still stands that none of the human characters get nearly as much depth. That being said, the performances of the cast make up for some shallow, one-note writing. Christian Bale is the clear standout, not only for the fact that he gets to use his native Welsh accent for once, but also since his charisma is perfectly tuned for his role. He plays the underdog quite well since he has to express emotions such as excitement and unbridled frustration, and he pulls those off in the proper moments. Bale's co-performers never reach his level of emotional commitment, but they at least seem to be having fun with each other. This applies to Matt Damon more than anyone else, because when he's acting alone in a scene, he isn't at his personal best. But the chemistry between him and Bale is off the charts here, and every moment they share together elevates the film. In terms of entertainment value, those two bring the most to the table. However, it also helps that the fresh dialogue and excellent editing kept the film moving along at an enjoyable pace. Ford v Ferrari may be 2.5 hours long, but I never felt it drag. James Mangold directed this with such a firecracker level of energy that both my dad and I enjoyed the film in its entirety. There was always some new development in the story that kept it moving along, culminating in many breathtaking racing sequences that kept my eyes laser focused on the screen. Attention to detail was critical for the tight camera work, slick edits, and seamless transitions between CGI and practical effects made it very engaging. Sure, it's sometimes easy to point out the fabricated images, but there's a persistent intensity to everything happening on screen that such visuals never took me out of the experience. A blend of POV shots and gorgeous wide angles infused the needed adrenaline for these scenes to work, making them both exciting and absolutely horrifying, knowing what level these racers needed to be at to succeed in Le Mans. Some might say that the time spent on the corporate politics and the build-up to Le Mans may be unnecessarily slow. Others could argue that it contains some of the fat that, if cut out, would have made for a leaner experience. However, the corporate conflict at the center of the film is more meaty than fatty. Ford v Ferrari celebrates human accomplishments, but the feats themselves are the point which the creative team was getting at. A battle of corporate and personal interests, much like the war between suits and creatives in Hollywood, keeps the narrative going. With that then, the ending of Ford v Ferrari, while more somber and self-reflective than I could have expected, just felt right in celebrating the creative spark. Even if the movie may not have been as character-focused as I would have liked, the base-level characterization enables enough human emotion to be infused into disputes between the involved parties. Ultimately, Ford v Ferrari deserves some love both for what it accomplishes on a technical level and for earning its blockbuster qualities without being tethered to some big franchise. Whether or not you see this on the big screen, I'd be quite surprised if you don't appreciate this old-fashioned, fun, and polished burst of cinematic energy.